Hey, it's Tim with the University of Vinyl. Back today, I want to talk about three different artists. One artist with his kind of lead guitar player, I'm going to focus on. But these three different artists are kind of known for their singular intensity. Whether it was their personality or just their kind of drive and ambition and the resulting recorded works. They all are known for their intense performances. And three of my favorite artists goes without saying. I want to talk about Lou Reed together with Robert Quine, his lead guitar player on the Blue Mask, and then the follow-up album to that, which was Legendary Hearts. And then I also want to talk about Richard Thompson, famously Fairport Convention, British folk rock, together with his wife on a Key album I'm going to focus on. And then last but not least, I want to talk about Bob Mould and his second incredible solo album, Black Sheets of Rain. So that's today. It's a little focus on intensity, and I hope you enjoy it. In 1982, Lou Reed came out with one of the most critically acclaimed albums of his entire solo career, The Blue Mask. And it featured one of the strongest solo Lou Reed bands that he ever played with. And that was the great Robert Quine on guitar. Robert Quine is a story unto himself. He was a fantastic guitar player, kind of known for his discordant playing, and different alternative tunings as well. He famously played with Richard Hell and the Voidoids on several of their albums. Check out The Blank Generation. Quine is all over that album. As previously mentioned, he's on the Blue Mask with Lou, and then the follow-up Legendary Hearts. He had a falling out with Lou Reed. He was going to be on a third and fourth album, I believe, and he was kind of scrubbed, and kind of Lou Reed. You're working with an interesting personality at all times, and Lou and Robert Quine had their differences along the way. Now, that didn't matter because Quine hooked up with a series of, he was kind of an indie rock darling on guitar. So he worked with Lloyd Cole on several of the Lloyd Cole albums. He worked on several of Matthew Sweet's albums. He's all over the incredible Girlfriend album and the follow-up Altered Beast. He's also done work with They Might Be Giants. And he has at least two solo albums that are incredibly hard to find, but I'm looking for. The rest of that band, I got off on a Robert Quine tangent, featured the fantastic Fernando Saunders on bass guitar. What an incredible bass guitar player. This guy was with Lou Reed the longest of any of his bass players on his solo albums. And then the great kind of economic player, Fred Maher, on drums. This is the cover of the album, and love that kind of foreboding purple-blue portrait of Lou on the front cover, of course. Let's take a look at the back cover, and you just have kind of a cool guitar portrait. The Blue Mask. This is an album whereby Lou kind of reflected on being, somewhat domesticated. He was married at that point in time. He was struggling a little bit with alcohol, And a couple of the songs on the album deal with that, basically. But there are the two incredible songs on this album, whereby Robert Quine is just off the charts, incredible guitar playing and soloing. Famously on this album, they have Robert Quine is in the left channel and Lou is in the right channel. So you can kind of always tell with the stereo imaging, which is great on this album, who's playing what, and even more so if you happen to be wearing headphones and listening to the album. But the songs I wanted to kind of key in on are Waves of Fear and the title track. Now the title track is, there's that cliche again, it's a tour de force. It is just an incredible display of just intense guitar playing on both sides of the coin, between Robert and Lou Reed. It has to be heard if you haven't heard it before. And then there are also, the Waves of Fear song. I'm going to include a clip of that. They did, this band supported this album with a tour, and there's an extensive, I think the full set is on YouTube at the bottom line. Check it out. Great set where they do a bunch of Velvet's classics to round out the set. But Waves of Fear and Women are taken from the Blue Mask album. I've got a first pressing. It sounds fantastic. This is... who is this on? I think this is on RCA. There's that RCA Victor, that nice glossy vinyl. Anyway, Robert Quine, just amazing. And the combination of him and Lou on guitar, kind of competing guitars. Lou definitely more on the rhythm side, of course, but Quine taking over on lead guitar with a lot of discordant soloing. It's a breathtaking album, and I can see why this album is so highly regarded among critics out there. So that is The Blue Mask, Lou Reed, 1982. Highly recommended. Also released in 1982 is the final album released by Richard and Linda Thompson as a couple, as a unit. That is, of course, Shoot Out the Lights, with that fantastic cover showing Thompson in kind of a room of disrepair with the portrait of Linda on the wall. This was released on the Hannibal label in '82, and Linda and Richard Thompson's marriage was basically falling apart when they recorded this album, and even more so during the short U.S. tour that they did in the summer of 1982. Joe Boyd, famous producer, long history with British folk rock, of course. Check out my recent British folk rock video that I did, I don't know, about a month ago now. A lot more on Joe Boyd in that video. But the story with this album is Richard and Linda Thompson were touring along with Jerry Rafferty as a kind of supporting act in the late 70s, leading up to 1980. And they basically were ready to put out an album, and Rafferty raised some funds and kind of oversaw the recording of several songs that would eventually be on the Shoot Out the Lights album. What happened, though, is that Richard Thompson and Jerry Rafferty had a falling out. Jerry Rafferty appeared to be a control freak, if you read and do some research on the recording of the album. And it was never released. And Joe Boyd came along, put up more money to produce new recordings of the prior songs that had been recorded with Rafferty. Richard Thompson had much more input. He was very, very familiar and comfortable with Joe Boyd as a producer, of course. And the album features several players from Fairport Convention. Simon Pegg is playing bass guitar. Dave Maddox is on drums. Simon Nickel is on guitar as well. My favorite track and what I think is the best song on the album is, of course, the title track, Shoot Out the Lights. Richard Thompson is on full display. His incredible, intricate guitar work. I'm thinking he's on a Stratocaster. And, you know, similar to Robert Quine with Lou Reed, Thompson is known for his intense playing and very, very, very adept, very lyrical player as well. Shoot Out the Lights is a fantastic album. Linda is on lead vocal on two of the stronger songs on the album, Walking on a Wire and Just the Motion. But again, the standout song is the title track. It is kind of a slow burner, and it builds and builds and builds. There's 2 or 3 solo breaks with Richard Thompson with incredible guitar play. I can't recommend this album higher, and I recently found it out in the wild at a used shop, about 2 weeks ago, and kind of spurned me onto this idea about today's video and intensity. I've been looking for this thing for a long, long time, and hardly ever see it out in the wild, so was happy to find a near mint copy, and this is a really, really, really fine album. Richard and Linda Thompson, Shoot Out the Lights.
It's too late to cover what you've done, yeah. It's too late, it's too late, it's too late to cover anyone at all. Well, I guess I should be so brave to think that I'm the only one who knows it's too late, it's too late, it's too late to cover what you've done, yeah. Change this world, stranger. Now is not the time to run away, and there must be a way that we could listen to the warning signs. So pay attention. This is my intention to prevent this fate before it gets too late. Now, darling, it's too late now, now. Can't you afford to let it fall now? Fishing down our streams are dying. Fluorocarbons fill the sky. I don't really wanna die, but my time has come. Oh yeah, now.
In the spring of 1990, Bob Mould put out his second solo album, which was Black Sheets of Rain. Kind of a corrosive cover, which gives you a little bit of a hint of what to expect as far as sound. You know, Bob had worked with Tony Maimone on bass guitar and Anton Fear on drums. Those guys were in and out of the band Pere Ubu, the Cleveland rock kind of alternative outfit, and Bob worked with those two guys on his first solo album, Workbook, which was released in the spring of 1989. And Workbook is a masterpiece. It is very much folk inflected. There's a lot more acoustic guitar on it than, you know, it threw people for a loop when Bob Mould from Hüsker Dü came out with his first solo album, and it opened with a 12-string instrumental, very, very kind of thought-provoking and delicate. And then the rest of the album, there was See a Little Light, which was a standout single, of course. But trust me, it was not all just folk rock and tranquil. There was a lot of incredible playing on that album. But even more so when he got together with the same two guys, you know, a power trio format that Mould is most familiar with and comfortable with, came out with Black Sheets of Rain. This is an incredible, discordant, just a power trio, you know, work of art. Mould is back with the churning electric, that Pacific Blue Strat that he famously, you know, used on all of the early solo albums, and then, of course, moving into Sugar, which came after Black Sheets of Rain. But this album is just, it's a powerhouse. You know, Mould is known for that churning kind of slabs of guitar sound, but there is always, you know, usually the melodies and the tunefulness of Mould's songwriting comes through, you know, like a ray of sunshine parting through dark clouds. That's the way I kind of describe Black Sheets of Rain. And cool picture of Bob on the back cover there. The rest of the band are on the cover as well. Let's talk about some of these songs. Black Sheets of Rain, intense. The lead-off song on the album, the title track, is a high bar to set. It's a great song. Stand Guard, It's Too Late, Stop Your Crying, Hanging Tree, another slow burner, very, very intense. Starts with acoustic, moves into electric. Hear Me Calling, Out of Your Life. This is a great, great, great album. Somewhat overlooked because Workbook was so highly regarded, and it should be. As I think it's probably Bob Mould's masterpiece, but I love Black Sheets of Rain. And I spin this album, you know, frequently. And I thought, you know, this would be a perfect counterpart to the two other albums I talked about, Lou Reed's The Blue Mask and the Richard Thompson and Linda Thompson masterpiece, really, Shoot Out the Lights. So that is Black Sheets of Rain, Bob Mould, the second solo album released in 1990. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. If you liked the video, I would really appreciate it to please click the like button. And if you would consider subscribing to my channel, that would be fantastic. Anything helps to get more views and kind of extend the reach of the channel out in the YouTube atmosphere. Battling the YouTube algorithms as always. But I appreciate all of the recent new subscribers, all of the great comments that are coming in over my last few videos. It is really heartening, and it keeps me wanting to do more as far as videos are concerned, different topics, different ideas. So stay tuned. There is more to come. Thank you very much.